Welcome in, welcome in to another edition of Tell the Truth and Shame the Devil. I'm Jennings Bernard, your host. As always, we really do appreciate you tuning in and being a part of this program. Tell a friend to tell a friend that Tell the Truth and Shame the Devil is on the air. You know what we do here: business, legal, social. Whatever affects you in this community, we will talk about it. I appreciate you. I was unable to be with you on yesterday. And we're going to be here with you for a short time today until I kind of get going back like I should be. I'm feeling better, but hey, I miss you guys, and I have to come out here and talk about some of this craziness, this madness that we have in this city. But I knew all the time because my grandmother used to always say, and I quote her, she said a lot of things. She said, the biggest fool in the world is an educated fool. When she used to say that, I used to look at her and laugh. And she said, you remember that? And I found it out for myself, just in life general, that is true. Some of the biggest fools in the world are those who are educated fools. You look around you, politically, socially, even in our school system, and the condition it is in. It's supposed to be educated individuals who's supposed to have all the knowledge of the profession that they're in. Uh, Superintendent, except Dr. Fagan, as far as I know. The rest of them have been fools uh, at the highest level. They have abused the system. Uh, they show favoritism, nepotism, and allism. But these are educated folks that you look to. I don't, because I judge a book by its cover. Some say you shouldn't judge a book by the cover. I judge it by cover, and then I open the inside of the book, and then I judge it by reading the contents of what's in the book. So when I judge a person from the outside, I also look on the inside of this individual who's supposed to be educated enough to know what he's doing in the profession that he's in. But how many times have we seen one fool after another in that superintendent spot, except Dr. Fagan, that really didn't do anything to benefit the children, but benefited themselves? Now, I couldn't go as far and say all of the school board members are educated fools. Some of them we just got straight out diploma fools. Okay, if they got it, but for some reason now, you don't have to be educated to run for a position. You can be boo boo the fool and run for a position in Memphis, only in Memphis, and get elected to a position knowing you have no idea what you're doing on the school board. You get there and you talk a good game. People believe because they saw you for 15 minutes that you got some sense. And I'm saying all this to say, because the more I see in Memphis, I see educated fools who can't do anything but run their shoes over. I see educated fools that are being manipulated by the almighty dollar. And if you had any sense as an educated individual, you know that you're being bought and paid for by the power that be, by the money in this community. So if you're educated, you carry a doctorate degree and you carry all of these degrees, but yet you can be manipulated to go against the very people that put you in this position. So therefore, you are a educated fool. You are a fool with no common sense. You are a fool that can be bought and paid for. You are a fool because you can get contributions that they'll make you buy a hotel when you didn't even tell the people that you was going to buy a hotel and that was a part of your agenda. I guarantee you that if Paul Young had told the constituents that while I get in there, I'm going to raise your taxes. When I get in there, I'm going to buy a hotel. And then after buying the hotel, we're going to let the Carlyle Group run it. And after a certain period of time, the city, with the city money that we bought the hotel with, we're going to sign it over to the Carlyle Group. Now, these are our tax dollars that we're not going to get any refund on if they go with the contract and go with the plan that Chase Carlyle and Chance Carlyle of the Carlyle Group. Now, Chase, you can say all you want to say about you recuse yourself. You still looked up in the business, whether you let it be known or not. There's no way that you can call the Bernard Group and my brother running, and I don't have a say in the Bernard Group. Because when you say the Carlyle Group, you're talking about Chance and Chase, okay? And you can't tell me as a citizen, Chase, that you have nothing to do with that. Recusing yourself or anything else, you still a part of the Carlyle Group, and the people should know that. We'll talk more about that later at a later time because people are still looking and surprised on my page that wow, he's a city councilman and he's saying he recused himself. What does that mean? It means absolutely nothing because the deal is still being made and it's been cut to benefit the Carlyle Group. And he's just as much a part of that group as anybody else. You can't tell me that he's not. In my opinion, all day long, as I look at the evidence and watch it, you can't tell me that he's not a part of that group. You can't tell me that if it came before him, he should have resigned or he talking about he recused himself. That don't mean nothing. Those are just words to say that you just gonna step away from it, but still you're a part of it. Those are just words. I think recuse yourself shouldn't even be in the vocabulary of an elected official. You're there to do two things, either vote yes or no. And that's what we need them to man up and start doing. But they can't do it because they so tired of tangled up and caught up in the mighty dollar that you got to say, well, I'll recuse myself. Or you vote. And people in the past have voted in favor of certain things. They ended up finding out that they got in trouble. So an educated fool is most dangerous fool in the world because he thinks he knows more than you. And then you get some that's not educated that think they know more than what you know. And I always say, and this is the stuff that came up today too. A guy was talking to me about Tammy Sawyer. And again, I said this, Tammy Sawyer, you are not innocent. And I'm going to say it again. When you interfere, and you did interfere with the performance of those deputy duties that they had to stop what they was doing to talk to you and you cursing and you're stopping them and asking them who do they know who you are and you're going to call Sheriff Bonner and all of that. You're interfering with them. See, you didn't have the right deputies when I came along. Tammy Sawyer, you would have been locked up, bottom line, because you did interfere and tried to throw your weight. And you did in front of the officers. Those officers really didn't understand the uh, reason that they wear that badge. I put it like that. Some may have understood it, but then when they got the call, when they called, somebody on the ninth floor or somebody with authority told them, don't arrest you. That's the only reason that you, in my opinion, are not standing in front of a judge right now. Steve Morrow, as I said the other day, they looked at it and said at this point, you was talking. Now, I was talking to a guy today on, and he's talking about what did she do wrong? And I said to him, you got to be an idiot if you don't see what she did as it relates on that video. She was interfering in the process of the officers trying to get an understanding of why this individual was coming in a county facility with a weapon. It didn't matter, Tammy Sawyer, that he was your security. It did not matter. He was not commissioned in the state of Tennessee and Shelby County. But you come from another place thinking that because he's your security, he could walk in to that jail or to the, excuse me, to the courthouse. And you interfere. So the only reason you walked away and quit, take your video down, and I know you won't do it. You're saying like Snoop Dogg said, I'm innocent. You are not innocent. If I had been there as a deputy sheriff and gave you fair warning and a lawful order as a police officer, deputy sheriff, for you to cease doing what you're doing and you kept on, I would put the cuffs on. And now we're looking at a whole different story. Steve Morrow, the TBI, could not have rendered the decision that they rendered on your behalf because the deputy didn't fulfill their obligation of you interfering with a law enforcement officer in the performance of their duty. Well, I was talking to this guy. He was saying, well, ain't nothing wrong with her cursing. And I said to him that yes, it is. And I remember back in Fugitive, there was a big book with all of the TCA codes and all of the charges that we had in Shelby County and probably within the state of Tennessee. But the book was about this thick. And when we were downtown, nobody was coming in Fugitive. We worked the office. Uh, some of the deputies, we had those books that we would go through and look at all of the different TCA codes and all of the different charges that you could be charged with. And a lot of you don't know that on the record at that time, they may have updated it. You could get ticketed, you could be arrested for spitting on the sidewalk. We saw a TCA code for that. We saw the TCA code back then for public profanity. It was a TCA code for that. And we went on and on the charges that you really would have never thought that they was in the TCA code book as a charge. So when I told him that, I clicked on the charge, I copied it, and I sent it. But somehow the charge came up. So then I resent it to him, and it's out there. And he go to talking, oh, I'm glad you're not a deputy sheriff. Well, I tell you one thing about it. When I was a deputy sheriff, we didn't have what we had in Memphis, nor when the police officers were police officers. Back when I was a deputy sheriff, came on in 78, you didn't have the situation that we have. We told you when we come back through here, we want this corner clear. And when we made our routine patrol, and when we came back, the corner was clear. There's no respect from the young people for the law enforcement officers today because a lot of times the legislators and the lawmakers, they handcuff the law enforcement officers from doing their job. But these are the people with the education. And the worst fool in the world is the educated fool who sit there and make laws that handcuff the law enforcement individual. So this is the result of being handcuffed by the system and by people like this individual I'm telling you about. And he said, I'm glad you brought this here. If I did my promise, get my time and the promise. And I told him, you know what? I said, hey, you ain't enough for one of them prominent damn capital. Educated fools think they someone special. And look at the system. Look at the capital. One run the city of Memphis. You have two. They used to be superintendent of the school, so-called educated folk. But look at the school system and how it's messed up in this situation. So we go back, and I don't declare Tammy Faye to be no educated individual. I don't understand, but I do declare by her action and the way she claims she is a fool, in my opinion, because of the result of what I've seen of the consequences that I've seen of being in and the attitude she has. Either one or two things, in my opinion. She needs a mental health issue, or she's just a fool. You know, they used to say a fool is like his face, always stuck in some public place, and that was something to that saying. That you have a lot of fools that are out here, all up in your face, telling you different things and lying to you. And I saw where C.J. Davis and someone put it on my site was out talking to the public, and the public was saying that they was talking to her, and the answer that she was giving them. And one said, particularly, she said to me that I need to be grateful for Paul Young. And I said right then immediately, you just lost me. I'm not going to read anymore. Because once she said that C.J. Davis said to her that we need to be grateful for Paul Young. Here we are, another supposed to be educated individual. But can I run the city? Don't have the power to run the city because he was stripped of his power. They gave him the 1.5 million in contributions. He was bought, paid, just like most of your black politicians. I said to you that if you would just look at your state, look at the area in which you live in, it's a reflection on you as an individual, but it also is a reflection on the educated fool or the non-educated fool that you put in leadership that cares nothing about you. All they care is about the money and the paycheck. Oh, let me check and see did my directed party winning. It always say on the end of it, it went in for you doing nothing. Because this city is messed up because of educated and uneducated folk. Until you realize that how big a fool that the educated fools are playing you. Look at your city. Look at your community, the black community. That when you go buy gas, you're giving it to somebody that don't look like you in your community. When you go to the grocery store, you're giving your money to somebody that don't look like you. When you go and buy clothes in your community, you don't own anything in your community that you can rotate your money within your community. We have to beg and boycott and plead with people to do right by us, and you still give them your money. See that buffer between you, the city council, or the county commission or the representative to the government, that person is supposed to look out for you. Now, if you believe for a minute that your representative are looking out for you, then there is a problem with you. Because now you come back to be the boo-boo to the fool. Because you put them in office and you're getting nothing from them, nor are you benefiting from them representing you. And I say to you, you have to call it like it is. Delia, a Facebook friend of mine, asked a question today. She said, could you support Jennings Bernard? And I told her no. I answered her question and she knew the answer before she even asked the question. Delia, give me a call. I'd like to talk to you about that. The answer is no, because what I'm doing and what I've always done is to put the truth on the table when it comes to an elected official. When it comes to what I say to you, it is the truth because I'm going to research, just like I did today, as it relates to the guy saying that cursing is not a crime. Well, you look at it, and I say it to you under TCA code, they did specify back in the day that cursing was a crime. Public cursing was a crime. Spitting on the sidewalk was a crime. Now they updated and said that it falls under the category of disorderly conduct. But there was a statute that said that public profanity was a crime. So not only did Tammy Story interfere with the police officer in the performance of their duty, she also was publicly cursing. If they wanted to stack charges, if they were man enough to arrest her for what she was doing, they could have added that charge. Now it falls under disorderly conduct. But at one time it had its own TCA code because we used to see it in that book that I told you that had all of the laws in that book, and we used to look at it over and over. I used to have one when they used to discard the books. I used to have one that I would look at periodically, and I know the dates and the time is updated. Some of them fall under another category, like disorderly conduct. They call it public profanity. So this individual uh, thought that he had to up on me because it's saying that when I clicked it, it sent the wrong TCA code, but I corrected it and sent it to him. So what do you say? You're going to argue with me about a statute, but then you supporting the boo-boo the food, and you're not getting anywhere. You're probably one of those guys that think you're smarter than the average individual, but you're nothing but a boo-boo the food. And until the people who wake up and understand, sometimes I'm trying to rub two nickels together. I'm trying living on the edge and wondering what's going to happen. I'm tired of getting these fish sandwiches and no representatives are doing anything to teach me how to fish. And that's the problem. They're not caring about you. They're not concerned about you. They don't want you to learn how to fish. They want you to be beholden to them for the fish sandwich. And when you look around your community, you don't own nothing. They're giving you the fish sandwich. And you're giving them all your money because they know how to fish. They know how to feed their family. But you're sitting, you have the power to change that, the power to stop it. They say a convenience store. You run there because you say it's convenient. But when you go and buy something, it's 3 times what it costs in a supermarket. But then they say to you, well, they're paying for the convenience. It ain't that much convenience in the world for me where I pay 3 times what a loaf of bread costs because it's a convenience store. That's why they rely on you, not knowing or not willing to learn better. It's always said when you know better, you do better. But when you know better and don't do better, that puts you in the category of boo-boo the fool. And these elected officials don't want you to do that. They want to keep you dumbed down. And you go along with it. You go along with it. They can sit and talk to you and you, yes, sir, no, no, ma'am, yes, sir. You know, you do that. And you wonder why you're in the position that you're in. Understand something. Representatives are supposed to be there to help you to get out of a situation that you're in some kind of way. Whatever your problem is, you should pick up the phone and call your representative, whether it be city council person, state representative, or a county commission, or any of these clerks that you may have problems in the office. And half of these clerks don't know what to tell you. See, I never ever want to deal with anyone who don't know about the office that they're running for. And when they get there, they rely on the people who have been there for 20 and 30 years. You're not getting at the top what you're getting at the bottom as it relates to the people who've been there, done that for that period of time. So you're cheating yourself. Look at your city, look at your area, and ask yourself, are you being cheated? And if you would be true to yourself, if you would be true to yourself and understand that I'm being cheated by taking my tax dollars for you, buying a hotel where Jim Strickland started. And they got you there for a reason. And that reason is to close the deal. You close the deal for the big wheel and sit back and make big deals while eating big meals. And you fell in that category. And you care nothing about anyone but yourself. And because of that, and for that reason, black folks, black people will always be on the lower totem pole. And every other race or nationality, if you're black and not aware, you will always be there because they're going to keep you dumbed down until then, until you wake up and realize, why should I take my money? Just because the store is on the corner 3 blocks from me and pay 3 times the price of a loaf of bread. And why is it everybody in my community taking money out of our community and going to their community, living well, and you sitting here trying to make ends meet? See, I found out a long time ago, and we established this enough is enough back in the day. We established that every time you decided that you want to buy a McDonald's hamburger, which may be $10, $11 at that time, take that $11, put it aside. Every time you thought you wanted to buy a Coca-Cola, take that money, stop it, put it aside. And when you get enough to open up you a bank account, I think you can open up one for and a savings account for $100 or $150. When you get that, every time you want to buy a hamburger, take that, put it aside, then put it in the bank. On the average of what we was doing, pretty much in spending, was almost spending $120 a day times 7 days. You were doing that. And if you were doing that, we're talking way over $700 a week that you're spending. Or if you're doing half of that, you could take that money and put it into a savings account. And then the people who are living and working in your community and taking the funds back, they wouldn't be taking that. And then in a year, you look back and see what you have accumulated. Then the next year, the next year, the next year. But it takes discipline. It takes a mindset to say, I want to get out of this situation that I'm in, that every time I think about it, I want to run and go buy something. And you're paying other folks to live better than you live. And nobody, in my opinion, is better than I am. Nobody is above me, in my opinion, because I think about things. In the wee hours of the night when I'm up, I think about the things and I look at my community and I say to myself, what is wrong with my people? And I come back to the point of what's wrong with our people is that the representation that's selling us out every day. You got people here that if you just take time and watch and look and listen, you would ask yourself, how in the hell did they get elected? They got elected because of last name. They got elected because of good old boy and good situation. I go back and I'm shocked because I know a person, Sheila Renfro. I'm shocked at her that would he be a part of a man who stole money from the Democratic Party, 20-some thousand dollars, 25 to 26,000. Had to resign from the chairman as the Democratic Party chairman. Walked out in disgrace. They sent him off for a while. He came back, got back in the system of the good old boy plan, and now he's the executive coordinator of General Sessions Court. A person that don't stole 20-some thousand, a person that walked away in shame, but now get they recycled him. Unbeknown to you, and some of you may have known, they recycled him, put him back in there, and he living better than you. You working, trying to make ends meet. He's walking around making ends meet to the tune of almost $100,000 for being rewarded for bad behavior. Only in Memphis can you be rewarded for bad behavior because the masses of the people who can make the change are not thinking, they're not watching, and they're not listening. And because you're not doing those three things, the powers that be manipulate your representative and they sell you out and you stuck where you are until you wake up, my brothers and sisters, and say that enough is enough. We're tired of getting the short end of the stick in our community. The potholes are not being taken care of in our community. The blight is not being taken care of. They say, oh, we picked up this, we did that for just a little while. But then it goes back into the situation. And you are part of the problem. When you see something, you're supposed to say something. When you see people dumping in your community, you're supposed to say something. But people are too afraid to say anything in regard to what's going on. And that is one of the most biggest problems that we have. So we know that Tammy Sawyer broke the law, but the deputies didn't arrest her. And the DA said that they found nothing in what she did. But I guarantee you, if they had done their job, she would be standing before a court right now. If you and I did what she did, we would have a charge and you would be arrested. That's a fact. But they play the game because you allow them to play the game. You should remember Steve Mulroy as the DA. You thought you were getting something better because you got him. And in my opinion, you didn't get anything, but you just got one for the other. And nothing is better. Some would say it's worse. Some will argue the fact that the politicians are not prosecuting the people that need to be prosecuted. Some would argue that it's a revolving door in 201 popular because the leniency that is shown towards the criminal. And because the criminal can say, I'll be out in 2 hours. Because they either are or the bond is too low and they can make it. Something is wrong. And then when you look at, again, the hotel, you are not going to benefit in any way from your tax dollars being spent. You don't have any say so. The people that you put in the office that's supposed to have your say so, they're not saying anything. And for that reason, you're getting nothing for your tax dollars. They're just waiting on the paychecks to hit on the first of the year so they can pay Peter back from the money they took from him to pay Paul. And anytime that happens later and you live in, and they have said it, they open their mouth and said that we're taking from Peter to pay Paul. You cannot run government like that. You run it, but you always run it in a situation where we got to tax the people to get out of this problem, and that's not good leadership. When you take from Peter to pay Paul, you end up sooner or later in bankruptcy. And that's what Memphis is headed. I still say to you, again, I appreciate the fact that the law enforcement president is here. I appreciate the fact that the National Guards are here. I appreciate the arrests that are being made in this city. I can appreciate some of the calmness that we have in this city. I appreciate all of that. And most of all, you ought to appreciate it. And for all these individuals out here protesting that you don't want the National Guard or the law enforcement here, you're saying that just because it haven't happened to you yet. You probably haven't lost a loved one. And if you're out there and you done lost a loved one to violent crime in Memphis, you really are boo-boo the food. But for those who haven't, we hope and pray that death by violent crime never come to your door. But sooner or later, it may come to your door. And then what will you say? Where were the police? Where were the National Guard? My baby was shot and killed. I know what needs to be done and what should have been done. But right now, I'm just sitting back, enjoying life and understanding what the problem is. And most of your educated food can't even solve your problem. I'm Jennings Bernard. You've been listening to Tell the Truth and Shame the Devil. We hope there's something we said here to wake up your consciousness that will make you say, you know, from the jail to the county commission to the city council to the state representative to all of the clerks that we have running this city. I hope you say in 26 that we need to assess the leadership in our city. And once you do that, then you can make a difference in our community. In the words of my grandmother, she always said, "If it's the Lord's will and the creek don't rise, we'll be here tomorrow." But remember what I said. Trust everyone, but do not trust the devil, the educated devil as well inside of them. Y'all take care, be safe, and till we, as I used to say, meet again or assemble again here. Y'all take care and God bless.